All right, I think it went live. I was dumping files, getting off the phone. I have another meeting today. That's why I did live. I had vlog Thursday earlier than 4 because I actually have a meeting, maybe 5 o'clock. I don't know. I got a lot of stuff to do today. So for those wondering, do I take time off during these times? Not really. This is a great time to catch up on things. So thank you, William Daughtery. We'll throw that out there right off the rip here. William and the donation. So thank you very much. It's much appreciated. So let me read through. Apparently, some people have been here a long time. Hello, those who have been waiting for a while. I did set the time and tweeted the time. People ask how to find out about vlogs outside of YouTube. I've mentioned numerous times. Follow me on Twitter. Even if you hate Twitter for privacy reasons, you can set up an account, give them no information, and just follow. Matter of fact, all my tweets are public, so you could even not set up an account. You can even go as far as to script it and write a bash script that says, pull and search for Tom at Vlog Thursday. I don't know. I try to tell people. People ask me to want me to set an exact time that this happens at, and it is difficult to do because I could do it, but if the options are book something that makes me lots of money or do the live show at exactly the same time, sometimes the things happening sometimes take priority. So anyways, let's see. 2 minutes to go. Yes, Christmas was good. Merry Christmas. Waiting for Lawrence. I do have a new gadget I'll share with you guys. I got it before Christmas, but it's still a cool gadget. I bought it because the TSA lost my last one, so audio cracking. I don't think the audio's cracking. Your audio's clipping. Let's see. Here's the fun part. Adjusting that's difficult. So let me try without getting feedback. What happens if I do this? How about now? I might have just got too close to the mic. All right, cool. I have to listen to myself and then get the feedback, and the loop goes on and on. So you want Let's Encrypt with Nextcloud? Well, if you have pfSense, you can do that. So I'm trying to figure out how I can talk about this. Yeah, the gain might have been... I don't know if the gain was too high. I think just I got too close to the mic, so I'm going to move it back a little further. So it's not peaking anymore. It looks like it's pretty good. So hopefully that there, maybe drop the dB just a hair. Oh, yeah, the echo is me trying to listen to it, so I have to listen to it to figure out what the audio is. I'm seeing the gain, but it didn't look like it was peaking, but I moved it down. Anyways... Yes, Nginx as a reverse proxy for all things Let's Encrypt, Apache as well. Nginx actually, if I'm not mistaken, Nginx first started as a proxy and then became a web server. Correct me if I'm wrong about that, but I think David G knows. But yeah, ideally, Nginx, Let's Encrypt, awesome combination together. But for those of you that want to not monkey with things too much and like just install out of FreeNAS but then later have it set up with encryption, there's a way to do that. Now, here's the challenge, and this is what I'm looking for suggestions from my audience here on this particular challenge. Whoops, let me fix the screen. All right. The challenge is, how do I do Let's Encrypt video without showing you all my public IP addresses and things like that? And it's not that I'm not worried or security through obscurity with my public IP addresses. What happens is if I show my IP addresses and I happen to have static ones, then I end up getting DDoS and having to change that. I've already had several friends that this has happened to. So the challenge in doing a Let's Encrypt video with HA proxy is not, and it's not that the reason I've been avoiding doing it is just figuring out what public IP addresses. Now, I could probably find, and I thought I might look around it, on one of the ways of doing it would be like pfSense with spin it up in a Azure instance or an AWS instance. That way I could do it. It's just a lot of work to settle that up, just to build out a pfSense, build out some servers behind it, show how to do certificates behind it and everything else. It's not rocket science to do, but it's a lot more work than my usual setup of just spinning up my lab. So, yeah, I could do it. Linode. Does Linode natively support pfSense? I guess that's the other question. We'll do a Google search. Linode pfSense. That's from 2015, 2012. Yeah, it looks like there's still some problems. Oh, this company, ARP Networks, supports it. Leader in VAPS OpenBSD hosting. Cool. Whoever these people are. Do they have anything for pfSense? Yeah, maybe that's a solution, is I just take an Azure instance and do it. I have an Azure account as well, so that might work. I think it's in Azure, isn't it? Isn't it in the Azure dashboard? So, that's, I don't know. So anyways, it does work. So, matter of fact, if we do, and actually, let me make sure I answer someone's question up here. William, for cable installs, do you need a contractor's license? That is a state-dependent thing. And because, let me find it here. That's state-dependent. Some states require that you have the same license as a contractor for electrical. So some states do. Michigan specifically is not. But for example, I think Chris from Crosstalk told me Oregon is, and I'm 99% sure California is. So it really depends. It really depends on who and which one. So it's a state-to-state issue. There's not even and then you have to deal with county issues. Some counties have inspections and they want you to follow certain guidelines, and others do not. So it's kind of a mixed bag on that. Let's see. Okay, Azure does have a pfSense template. Cool. Maybe I'll look at creating it in Azure then. That might be the easiest way to do it. I have Azure credits as well, so. Cool. Oh, BGP will vulture for HA. Yeah, but why would you want HA in that? I guess you could. I guess there's use cases for it. Just seems like there. Will I be soon having 100K a party? I guess that might be something, a party for that. It might be kind of fun. But this right here, actually we can spin up. Where is my? I'd have to fire up the server for it. So, is it this one here? Okay, that would be the lab. Is it this one? I gotta pull up something else. Nope, that's not the one. We'll boot up the lab while we're talking here, because I should have done that ahead of time. You know, I get distracted and then I don't do a thing, and we want to. You'll see me. This is how we fire up the lab. Fire up the lab. Here we go. All right. Hey, Willie. Yeah, Willie knows about those pesky government regulations ruining our funds. Power on. Yes. We'll watch the server boot. Ooh, I can hear it. launch the console. Console. People always complain about how I say it. I never really think much about it. So while this is booting, we'll dive into that. Actually, while we're waiting for this to boot, the very first thing I said was, let's talk Tesla. And so let's do that part. So this can go over here. That can get closed. And this is, we'll do a little bit of this. So the Tesla got a new update, and the new update's kind of interesting because it allows, well, dash cam on a honk is cool, but they changed all the visualizations. So let me find the photos of the visualizations. I've been calling it the garbage can update because, let me show you at my house here. Where did it go? I got a picture of it. There we go. Drag this over. Those are my garbage cans, and there's my Tesla drawing the garbage cans. That's cool to me. I don't know. It's silly, but the car sees garbage cans when you're driving down the street now. So that's been that. Now, I did a video on how much my Tesla costs. And I just laugh at, one, how many people with no scientific evidence are insisting my numbers are very wrong. And they insist that it costs almost $2 a mile to drive a Tesla, which doesn't make any sense at all, but you know, that's okay. I don't understand their math because they don't provide any basis for their numbers. They also thought I was really trying to cost justify a Tesla, and I was like, no, I'm just telling you how much a Tesla costs. It's still an expensive vehicle. It is not the cheapest point A from, it's like not the cheapest way to get from point A to point B. That was never the argument I was trying to make. And that's one of those things, like, I don't try to cost justify some things. I'm not irrational. I may be a little of a fanboy for Tesla. I do like my Tesla, but I'm just like, I don't understand people who are really hating on it and going, oh, you're just trying to justify your purchase. No, I'm not. It's an expensive car. I did not buy a Tesla because I was looking for the least expensive means of transportation. I do like it. It's fun. It's fast. It's way faster than it needs to be. I can't justify other than the fact that it's cool. I wrapped it. I can't justify why I wrapped it. Like, I can tell you it protects the paint, and it does, but you can also say, Tom, you can buy a paint job for what you spend on the wrapping. And I'd say, yeah, but I bought it not to protect the paint. I bought it because it looks cool. So it's one of those things, like, I don't know. But what you see on the screen here is also kind of funny. And this is my cost justification for a Tesla is, one, I got Cuphead. I didn't have to buy it now. It's on my car. And I got Stardew Valley. So there's that. So that's like, does Tesla inform you when your wife is getting in range? So if you do follow me on Twitter, you'd see my wife got a new cookbook. 50 Ways to Eat Cock, Healthy Recipes with Balls. So that's one of the Christmas gifts. Oh, that's a good question. Does the Tesla get just bug fixes or features? Features, and features. Like, it's crazy, all the features the Tesla gets. It has, like, I should do, and it's been on my to-do list, but when it comes to the updates on this, I have so many features that I didn't have before. I have the ability to control my windows from my phone. And, you know, I'll make some joke that the Tesla runs on Linux. It's the first, you know, what did I say the other day? Something about first vehicle I've had that actually, first thing that runs on Linux but handles Windows great. So there's that. They constantly are adding feature updates to the car. So I get all the, you know, whenever there's new games, I get them too. So even, this is something that you're used to in the phone industry or other software markets. Like, hey, my Android now has a feature it didn't have because the new version of Android is on my phone. So those features are cool. But it's one of those things when you start looking at other cars, like, you buy the car and it's fixed. These are the features that car came with. Tesla treats it more like a phone where, hey, cool, here's a new feature. Here's another game. Here's this window tool that you have. Here's the enhanced dog mode. Here's camping mode. That just came up. Camping mode is kind of like dog mode, but it leaves the infotainment system on overnight for the car so you can camp in the car. I mean, it's kind of you know, things like that. So it's kind of neat, all the different things that it can do. So it's actually, it's pretty cool just as they keep updating it. They're just keeps packing on the features with the car. So where is it at here? Also, did I take more than one screen? I'm trying to see if I had another screenshot of some of the other ones. Oh, this feature I like, and now there's going to be a video release after I'm done with this. The dash cam on honk. That is cool. That's a really neat feature. So when you honk, it saves the dash cams, which dash cam features are all another thing on there. So road rage control. Yes, I would call it that. Autopilot is really road rage control, because when it's on autopilot, it just pilots. It just goes. It's just, you know, you're just kind of driving along, and the car's doing its thing. So yeah, that's garbage can. It was garbage day at my house, so here's all the garbage cans as I'm driving down the street. So that's hopefully that gives you an idea of how it shows all the garbage cans all lined up. Now, I thought that was just really novel. Now, the mileage on the car, I'm going to do another video about that. I'm waiting till it gets super cold out, but I'm going to do some winter driving things on there. The winter driving is good, but you do lose about up to 20% of your range, depending on some factors. So the car doesn't get that full 300 mile range anymore when it's really cold. So not a huge deal. Well, they're still updating the ones they made in 2012, so you at least have the 5 to 7 year range, because the 2012s when they came out with the Model S, and the Model S, for the most part, is getting updates. There are some limitations. The earlier Model S's did not have the newest version of the computer controller, so they let you know what features your car can't do. There's certain self-driving features that they have flat out said will not come backwards to the previous cars. So there's that. Also, the way Tesla does things, all the cars get the same update roughly the same time. They do a staged rollout, but when they say there's a new version, it isn't just for the Model 3, it's for all the models. But they do have limitations on whether or not you have the 3.0 hardware or not. So yeah. How far out can the optics see? Really far. I don't have a video on it, but it's wild to see how far ahead it's able to look. So that's actually a really neat feature of how many cars ahead it can see. So I don't know. This is I don't know if I tweeted this. This is my car wrapped, what it looks like in the morning when the sun hits it. So definitely very colorful. But anyways, let me find, I think I may have a picture of, maybe not. I don't know. Willie, look at the video that I'm going to post next. That will be helpful in terms of, did I make a video of this? No. I thought I had one. Oh, this one might tell you. Here we go. So it actually sees further than this. You can put your finger on it and slide out. So 1, 2, 3 cars. And you can see how far ahead this car is. So there's that third car. And there's that third car drawn here. It actually sees a little further than that ahead. But I'll have my video that I'll be releasing after I'm done with my live show here. That video will, I recorded the latest version of this and how it sees traffic lights and everything else. So, and it's using radar, so. Yeah, it's interesting driving in the snow for sure. The batteries should last in a Tesla roughly 300,000 to 400,000 miles, but some people are getting 500,000 out of their batteries. So I already ordered a Cybertruck. So yes, I plan on getting work. Yes, all-wheel drive. I have the all-wheel drive long range. So it's, matter of fact, you can kind of see I'm driving it in a snowstorm. And I think I got a video. I need to do a collection of all the snowstorm videos. Here's this one. No problem. I'm on the freeway. It handles great. My wife's playing with the phone. It's in autopilot, by the way, in a snowstorm. And the roads are super slippery, so there's actually, we're going to come up here, you're going to see a car that spun out.
From over there where the tire tracks were.
Yeah. So in the blue light, you can see autopilot's on, it's tracking fine. So it does great in the snow. Even auto driving in the snow is pretty wild. Oh, this was just my trip to Grand Rapids. Got caught in a snowstorm. I don't know if the Cybertruck's worth it or not, but I'm excited about it, so that's a maybe. Oh, and then for those, just so we can show you what the wrap looks like, this is what the wrap looks like. Like, in person, it's different. I'm going to do a video on it. I've been waiting for the guys that did the wrap to get me a time lapse, but they didn't get it. But that's what it looks like. Yep, I was in Grand Rapids, Michigan. We were visiting a museum over there. I live in Detroit, but we drove over to Grand Rapids. What else did I have? Oh, here we go. Snow videos.
Watch it all. Watch it.
There we go. This is another video. I just haven't edited these. I got a lot of Tesla videos I've been building up. That's what happens in riding on ice. It just does it. It's great. It doesn't slip. It doesn't do that. So there's a Grand Rapids in every state. So probably. My friends at MI Custom Signs did the wrap. So that's who did that.
People ask me how the car handled. Press it.
So let's see if is this time when she screwed it up? Yeah, she screwed up. She turned the car off. Anyways. Oh, that's me walking in the woods. If you want to know what my personal time is, it's going for walks in the woods. I don't think there's anything else interesting in here. Anyways, I can just babble on. So I feel like I'm doing right now. Yes. Can you install pfSense on the Tesla? I don't know. It runs Linux, not BSD, but you know, they're cousins, so I'm sure we can make that work. So yeah, I'm going to do a video about the wrap and everything else. Hey, look, this booted up. So now we can play with this. Log into this. There we go. Where do I look at first? So we need XOA. Start. pfSense 2.5. Let's fire that up too. There we go. And as soon as this fires up, I can go over to that and log in. What am I looking for here? Too many things running. I need the lab server console. There we go. As soon as this boots up, we'll log into this and we'll talk about a few other things. How do I handle iDirect with Java? I don't. This iDirect is not running Java. This is HTML5, right? There. Old iDirects have Java and it sucks. So that's how I handle it. You just deal with it. Any plans to expand? I don't understand the question. Oh, person retracted it. Good. Now, okay, cool. I didn't understand the question, so. All right. Now we can log into this, whoops. This, lab, just so I got this up and running. Yay, lab. This way I keep things separate from production. And this should be booted up. It is. And what's the IP address? 197. 196. Whoops. 7. There we go. This should be, if I remember the password. Cool. I was just playing with this over the weekend. All right. A monthly Hack My Tesla series on my to-do list. We've been talking about doing some Tesla hacks and things like that. On my to-do list. Loaded. Okay. So now I can break this if I need to. So system. This is the pfSense 255. Ooh, an update is available. We can update it. Downside of development version, there's a lot of updates. Yeah, we have Zabbix monitoring other customers. We just don't show that here. When I have Zabbix monitoring customers, you never see it because it's separate. I don't have, I don't know if I'm going to do a bunch of videos on it or not, but either way, I don't always want to, it's figuring out what to do when it comes to videos and what I have time for. But yes, we do have Zabbix monitoring some customer equipment that is not monitored by SolarWinds. So there's a little bit of that. But back over to System Package Manager available. So we'll install HA Proxy. Get that done. I run Zabbix on site. We have servers, so I that's why they're running here. It's on top. I don't need to search for it. But we'll talk about it a little bit. So if we go here and we look at like Acme search, we'll start at this. One of the things you can account key required. Acme v2 test. Actually, I think test search, create new account key. Save. There we go. Now we can create a cert. Weird that audio is clipping. I don't really know why. Some people said it wasn't, and some people said it wasn't. So we have a good connection at the office, but I do have problems with YouTube randomly telling me it's broken. So while I have no problems with it, I look at it. There's no drops. There's guys. I hear 2 or 3 people on the phone right now. We're not even peaking out our bandwidth, and randomly YouTube says the stream quality's got to drop down, and I don't know why. That happens randomly. So we just built a UniFi out with fiber. I don't know. I got to figure out if I can go do a video on it or not. I can't go in all customers' places and just rock out videos. It's kind of random. So that's a whole different problem. Would you subnet? You don't subnet or VLAN. VLANs are on different subnets. So I don't understand that as a question. I can turn the gain down a little more. I do see it jumping into red because I think I'm talking loud. Anyways, ACME, or Automated Certificate Management something. I forgot the last letter stands for. Someone will fill me in. Anyways, the ACME protocol that manages the Let's Encrypt certificates has been built into pfSense for quite a while now. Anyways, so I know subnets and layers, but if you have a VLAN, it's going to be on a different subnet. So I don't understand like either or. But I mean, I know where they live in the layers, David. I'm just trying to figure out what the person's trying to ask. Do you have the iDRAC on a separate VLAN than XOA web interface? Yes. iDRAC 172 lab is a 3 network. Anyways, let's get back to Let's Encrypt. So test, and then we have to come up with a website. Now, this is what's pretty cool about it. They have built in here a ton of support for a lot of different places to do DNS registration. And what DNS registration allows you to do here, and this is one of the things I want to do a video on, I'm trying to figure out, okay. You guys are still having a VLAN discussion. That's fine. There's a couple different manual ways to do it, which I'm less than clear on how to do these. It kind of depends on whether or not you have something that can do this, whether or not you can add this CNAME challenge to DLD. I actually played with this and it didn't, I don't know what I did wrong because I don't run the DNS server, and I did have some, thought the video. I'm good at pausing and staring. I thought that would be one of the things I could do easily, and it turns out this didn't work as well as I thought. But if you're using Amazon's Route 53, Azure, Cloud DNS, Cloudflare, Cloud XNS, well, there's a big list in here. I have DigitalOcean. Currently, my forums run in DigitalOcean. So you set the name service to DigitalOcean. Then you just grab the DigitalOcean API key, and voila, you have a really nice system to automatically grab all the different domains and put them in here. Now, what's cool about doing this in DNS, but this is also what makes it difficult. For me to actually do this, I have to expose my public IP address to the people in YouTube. I guess I could blur everything out, but I hate having to do that. It becomes a real pain to edit. So maybe I will do, like I said earlier, set it up in Azure. But the reason you want to do this as DNS, you don't have to open any ports. There's no exposure your system will have. You're not creating any risk. Now, I did see a couple people recommended like doing it the web version where you open up ports and then put the ports on a schedule and line the schedule up with when the ports need to be open, because you can schedule ports opening and closing in the firewall in pfSense. I've never done a video on that because I can't name a time I used it. I think it's cool you can schedule that, but neat. Back to this though, when you do it with DNS, there's no port opening. The DNS, there's an API call made, goes back and forth, and away you go. It registers that domain, even though that domain's not accessible. Why is that important? Well, let's say you had a series of private servers. You can now register with DNS your private servers, so internally, maybe at your own office, like here, Let's Encrypt will have certificates, so all your internal servers can have valid certificates in them, even though they may not be accessible outside your office. Back to the very first question that was asked about Nginx. How do you do it with that? Same thing. You just expose and open Nginx to the external world, but now Nginx will have a fully proper valid certificate from Let's Encrypt, and you don't have to worry about it being handled by someone suggested like setting up one Docker to handle the proxy, another one to handle Nginx. That's a completely valid way you can do it, or you can pass that off to pfSense. Matter of fact, one of my curiosities was how well would this work on an SG-1100, and so I set up an SG-1100 and did the whole HA proxy Let's Encrypt, because HA proxy has some some overhead it creates by being a proxy, but it will proxy all the connections and it will also use all the certificates. Now, there's a lot of other videos I can spin off of this when I build it up, because the other thing to do is captive portal. Captive portal, a lot of people go, I want a valid certificate on that. No problem. If you use Let's Encrypt, you can have a valid certificate for your captive portal, even though your captive portal is not publicly exposed. It's an internal website that you want people to be able to go to. So it's a great feature having this in here. And when you register these, it registers with the certificate management inside of pfSense. Therefore, the entire certs are available to any other plugins. So it's pretty outstanding, all the features on there. The Acme conversation is session-based anyway when using the preferred DNS option. Yeah. Yes, it was called Monowall back in the day. Do you need to provide? Well, I wouldn't recommend, if you're OpenVPN, I don't think I would use Let's Encrypt certs for them, because it doesn't make a lot of sense to do so. If you did that every 90 days? Yeah, every 90 days they update. So you would end up having to update your clients every 90 days. That seems like a real pain in the butt. So I don't think I'd recommend them for using those type of certs for OpenVPN, but other places where you care about web certs, that's probably where it makes the most sense to use them. Yes, when Acme to generate, there's a ton of support for all kinds of things you can do with it. Let's Encrypt certs are pretty much like becoming standard with everything. There's even small devices that are really getting more popular, building it in there. I think even some of the consumer firewalls, I've heard someone mentioned to me, I've not validated this, that even certain consumer firewalls are starting to do the same thing, where they start going and putting in Let's Encrypt certs because they're free and easy. And if they need to tie into some device, you need that, away you go. Yeah, you like Chris McDonald said, don't use a public CPA for OpenVPN. You also don't want more people having in your trust lines. That's why self-created certs work really well. I don't know that SonicWall has support for it. I don't care much for SonicWall, so. The amount of admins I know that do 95% of best practices and the other 5% just make it work. There's a lot of people that do the just make it work thing. But like I said, maybe what I'll do is I think I can probably set up something over at one of my friends. Now, if I borrow an SG3100 for them, they will get a temporary public IP address that I can switch out later by changing the modem out. And by changing the modem out, every time you change a MAC address, they'll get a new address, and away we go. And that way I can just set something up and build something out where I can show the addresses of it. I've also thought about getting an extra line here where I just do testing on for things like this. That way I can just have my public IP address, have the testing, and away we go. So Tyler Bigley, thank you very much. Yes, PFSense Acme video. I'm really thinking about it. It's definitely on my to-do list. And maybe I should just quit talking and put a second. I need a backup line. We don't have a backup line. We were always going to get one, and we've not had enough outages to ever warrant getting one. Comcast, in the almost 3 years that we've been here, has never been down. We've had more power outages than we have had internet outages, which is saying a lot. So, well, good luck, Andrew, having on your brother's brain tumor removal. So there's a shout out for Mr. Andrew there. Best of luck there over at the hospital. Hospitals are rough. Yes, when you change to router's MAC, you will get a new IP address. That is correct. It works that way with both Wide Open West and Comcast. Backup line, mobile phone. Yeah, oddly, one of our other jokes, we are behind our geography. Let me show you. Let me pull up the address. Here's our building. Where's it at? And this is Lowe's. So here's us. There's Lowe's. You know what's on this corner of Lowe's over here? A Wi-Fi antenna. You know what I can get to? Lowe's Wi-Fi. We've joked about using it as a backup internet because we can get on their Wi-Fi. They have a guest Wi-Fi. For domain-based resources, just use .local or .internal. Yes, please. If you've ever dealt with Active Directory, and we have in a stupid fashion, because people have named the Active Directory the same as the company website, this is just aggravating as all hell. I've not really used Aruba, so I don't have an opinion on them. Aruba's Aruba. I don't know if they're good or bad. Some people seem to really like them. I'm indifferent because I haven't used them, so I don't really have an opinion on their products. So I can't speak from experience with them. But anyways, this is the whole setup. Let's encrypt, blah, blah, blah. What about HA proxy? Well, let's slide over there. HA proxy is awesome, and it is just cool to play with. It has all kinds of neat options for how you can set up different ACLs and rules and backends based on certain matching conditions. If host matches, blah, blah, blah. It's really cool. It's not just your average proxy. HA proxy will proxy and at the same time also go through and figure out which backend to use. So there's two sides to this. Whoops. You have the front end, which is here, and then the back end. So you create all these different backends. So here's a backend, here's a backend, there's a backend, and then here's the stats backend. And what it's doing is the HA proxy will go through and use, this is the front end, what the system hits, and then what backend it lands on, as in what server it lands on, is going to be controlled through here. So then you create the server, active, address, port, example, choose your certificate if we had the Let's Encrypt in here. So if we had a Let's Encrypt cert, we'd choose that, and away you go. You'd be able to line it all up. It's kind of complicated at first, but once you're used to it, you're like, oh, this is pretty cool. Matter of fact, it can even do parsing of the URL to determine what server you want it to land on. So there's just some neat features that you can dig into and do on this. It'd be a pretty extensive video. pfSense themselves has some videos on it to walk you through it, but it's not going to be simple. At first, it's just a lot to learn how it all works. But once you've gotten the hang of it, you're like, okay, that's cool. And you're like, this is really flexible, because this can be pfSense then can become one central server to handle all the certificate renewals for all of your servers, proxy the connection for all of them. And that way, any server can be updated individually, but pfSense can then handle all of it. And it's all built in here with every little piece that you need. Yeah, there's no good alternatives. I rambled on about that in my last video when it came to Active Directory. Sorry. Azure AD is becoming really popular for people who don't want to run an on-prem server. But when it comes to running an Active Directory server, there's really nothing everything is kind of a second best substitute compared to actual Active Directory. It's all like best effort, okay stuff. It's not terrible, but it doesn't, yeah. We ship nothing. We have a third-party company called Teespring that handles our shirts for us. So if you want to buy one of those shirts, like this one I'm wearing right here, that's handled by Teespring, but they do ship to Europe. We just don't do any of the fulfillment right here. We don't have the manpower to dedicate to stuffing shirts in boxes. It's just not, I didn't want to get into that aspect of it. So Teespring integrates with YouTube, and that's who does our fulfillment for things. So do you have a video about setting up a VPN to use FreeNAS? It's really just watch my OpenVPN video, and you can, once you understand how OpenVPN works, you can then set up anything you want on it, or zero tier. Zero tier might be a great option just to connect to a FreeNAS at your parents' house, for example. Yeah, and things do come down to whether or not you need to use AD. There is a mixed answer on that. So people love single sign-on. People love federated authentication, and I do too, except when you don't need it. For example, and I just tweeted this earlier today. What did I tweet? A lot of dumb things. This company here. Now, I don't know the details, but the talking points are still here. The Heritage Company announces temporary closure due to cyber attack before Christmas. And the company says they may not come back from this cyber attack. And what happened was they deleted all the backups. This is where I disagree with many, many technicians about how to handle single sign-on. What they do is they build a single sign-on server to tie into their backups. This is one of those problems that a lot of people have, because it's really convenient to do so. You build single sign-on, you tie it to your backups. Well, if they get in your network and they use your single sign-on, they compromise an admin credentials, it's arbitrarily easy for lateral movement and to say, hey, look, there's the backup, turn it off. So I don't know the details of this attack to know that that was true or not, or if they just didn't have backups. But these are the problems that you run into with that type of scenario when you start federating everything against it. I think it's great for user management. I don't like it for high-end IT management and tying everything to it. That's kind of my dividing line for Active Directory or any type of single sign-on management system. Inside of Invoice Ninja, which I can't pull up because it's got too much customer data in there, you can set a rate per customer. There's an option under the customer profile to set a rate. So when you're setting up the tasks, you can do that. We don't have that many different rates we charge per customer. We try to keep all the rates pretty much the same. They're based on whether or not you're a managed or unmanaged client. That's the differentiator, whether or not you pay one rate or another rate. So there's really only two rates for my staff to remember. And Gary gets a discount sometimes. We have clients who just he sends us a lot of business, but he argues a lot, so we give Gary a discount. So there's sometimes exceptions, but for the most part, it's not too hard to remember. We have the rates established and we put them inside of each client, but there's very little variation, so it's actually not something we have to think a lot about. And a lot of our billing is recurring, or when you go to create an invoice, we start at the client and you can look at any previous invoice to see what they were previously billed and things like that. That is a little bit clunkier way, but if one of my techs is new and they don't happen to know what to bill someone at or what we charged before for that, they sometimes will just look. Matter of fact, you could just clone and duplicate a invoice that was already done if you did something similar again, which frequently happens. We have, clients that break the same things repetitively. You could just clone their previous invoice, change the date, and done. What UniFi AP? Go. If Classroom at 25, the Nano HD. Nano would be good. HD would be better. If you really want them to have performance, it may sound like overkill, but if you're buying one now, future-proof it a little bit. If not, the Nano would probably be great. Yeah, lazy admins using admin credentials for access for poor user management. Yeah, it just... Right. Well, in Datto would be an example of that. Datto did a webinar on this, but this is not how a lot of people set them up. Datto has a recommended guide, but people just tie it to their AD and let it all manage, blah, blah, blah. And then they have a single point of failure. And this is how people go, but I had these expensive Datto boxes. Isn't it all backed up? And I'm like, well, not really, because they got into your Datto boxes because you have it tied to the Active Directory credentials for the admin of it. So they were able to get into the backups. So that's the problem. And the same thing like FreeNAS. I keep my FreeNAS passwords, so even if you tie FreeNAS to Active Directory for permissions management, that's perfectly fine. But the admin, the root user of FreeNAS, you keep separate. That way, all the snapshots and everything else are completely managed by a separate user who is not authenticated against the Active Directory. Therefore, if someone goofs up everything in there, let's see what we can, how easy we can roll it back, because the user management of the end users is separate from the backend management. So that's how I separate them. Yes, I did talk about Let's Encrypt. I said Let's Encrypt is awesome and it's built into pfSense and it works really well. So there is a way to lock it down. I've never used Datto, but I did watch the webinar Datto did with Huntress, and they do say there's a way you can lock it down. There's some way to do it. I don't know. The Datto people know, so I'm not really. I don't use Datto. Never have. Don't expect to use it. So my understanding is there's a way to do it. If I'm wrong, maybe I misunderstood what Datto was talking about. So. Yeah, like I said earlier, Reginald, it's on my to-do list. I got to get a separate IP for it, not any of the IP that has anything critical on there. Hopefully that may be easier to make the video on. And there's also, like, I have, if you notice my forums, certificate valid, forums, Lawrence System, Let's Encrypt Authority. I use this everywhere. Matter of fact, I think even lawrencesystems.com, we use this for all of our websites. Yay, Let's Encrypt. Let's Encrypt. Issued on December 5th. Ooh, it expires on January 1st, so I got to keep an eye on it, making sure it updates. But it's always updated, so I don't think there'll be a problem. Let's Encrypt is sponsored. It's run by the Let's Encrypt is run by the Linux Foundation. Let's Encrypt. Let's Encrypt is 100% funded by donations from the Linux Foundation and the EFF. So that's how they go over here. Sponsors. They have plenty of sponsors, plenty of money. They're a pretty awesome foundation. They're part of the Linux Foundation too. See, Linux Foundation Collaborative Project. It's all, yeah, even Cisco sponsors them. Do I ever configure Cisco iOS? No, I don't hardly do any Cisco myself at all. We hardly even see it. We've been ripping Cisco out over the last few years, and now I rarely see Cisco equipment anymore. So, yes, donate if you can. Support a more secure and private. Donate. You just throw money at them. You just go like that. One time. Oh, cool. Matching company names. All right, I'll do some donations. I don't feel like pulling up my financial information on a live stream. Oh, hey, major sponsors. Look at all these people. Mozilla, Cisco, EFF, OHV Cloud, Chrome, the Google people, Shopify. Everyone's using it. Let's Encrypt is awesome. GitHub, Datto. Datto has Let's Encrypt. That's cool. I didn't know Datto. We were just talking about them. So... So anyone who loves Let's Encrypt, donate it. You may have seen I got lots of Let's Encrypt stickers from, I've thrown money at them before. My friend works for them, so there's all kinds of stuff. Yeah, if you work in government, you work in a lot of the large industries, Cisco's prevalent. We just don't do as much work with, large Fortune 1000 companies. We do consulting with them more than we do actual hands-on. And I know they run a lot of Cisco. One of the big automotive suppliers we do consulting with is a Cisco house. But yeah, it's just not something for my day-to-day hands-on with iOS. No, not really. Rarely does anyone even call us. Well, I can't say that no one calls us. We got on someone's mailing list. They keep calling us to do work, and they want to pay us like $50 an hour to go out and do Cisco work, and we're like, no. So it's always crappy stuff that needs to be done. Like, oh, I need some Cisco engineer to set up this VPN. The pay is $50 an hour, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, no. Or sometimes they only tell you only will pay for 1 hour, and we're like, no. So... not that interested in it, but hey, either way. Yeah, Cisco, once you get a large enterprise, Cisco, they've been around for a long time. They're a massive, massive company with a big market reach, so you're going to see a lot of Cisco incorporated. There's no doubt. Let's see. What else do we have in this list? Let's Encrypt. We talked about the Tesla. We talked about Let's Encrypt. We talked about HA Proxy. I talked about it in basics. It's an awesome extended feature of here, but yeah, like I said, it's also not something that I can immediately or easily do a video on because it's going to take some more setup. So, hey, let's look. This is also, like I said, this is the 2.5 series. All right, confirm. Let's load an update. It updates relatively fast. I like to do some testing, and testing is what makes burning Cisco stuff for $50 an hour. Why not? Yeah, we can nerd out for hours. Let me see what time my meeting is. I got to look at my calendar over here. I have multiple screens if you wonder why I look to the left and right. All right, I got a little bit longer before I have my next meeting. Packages upgraded, success, rebooting. We can go over here, console. Woohoo! Watch the magic happen. Those Cisco renewals, though, yeah. Yeah, I don't need a calendar for eating. I eat enough. I ate way too much over the last couple of days. That's a whole different topic. I feel fat. Yay! BSD Bootstrap. So the pfSense 255, there's another video coming on all the different changes that are going to be in here. So let me pull that up. I think it's, whoops. There we go. There's a couple in here that are really cool. Let's see. Security errata, FreeBSD 12.0 release base 10. This is one of them that I'm excited about. So, captive portal, change vouchers, blah, 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 generate keys, OpenSSL, fixed, change captive portal. This right here. So, these two features are big for my clients that are using Captive Portal. Fix Captive Portal session timeout values for Radius so users do not have a timeout return to the server, and change Captive Portal so that users no longer get disconnected when changes are made to Captive Portal settings. Added option, Captive Portal may choose to remove retain logins across reboot. That's a really nice feature. So what it's doing on the Captive Portal is going to write to the Captive Portal server and say, hey, these users are already authenticated. You don't need to authenticate them again. That way, every time there's a minor update or you make a change to Captive Portal, it doesn't force all the users in the middle of a session to log out and restart. And it's a business that manages quite a few users, so when everyone has to log out of the several thousand people attached to it, they don't really want to do that, and then the person's phone rings. But it's just kind of a nice thing that way if you ever have to maintenance a firewall, it reboots relatively fast, as you can see here. pfSense does not take long to boot, but if you have to re-authenticate, it inconveniences a lot of users. So that's definitely, yeah, that's definitely a thing. Trying to figure out what else you guys are talking about. You can run a network without Cisco. Yeah, I know a lot of people are unaware of that. The corporate world is learning it slowly and surely. There's so many huge companies using pfSense. It's MasterCard uses pfSense. I mean, come on. Anyways, it is 255.25.0. I said 255, but I think it's just 25.0. So I know it is on the screen. I know it's accurate. I don't know what I said. I don't feel like rolling back, but please call me out if I said it wrong. Completely plausible that Tom said it wrong. I wouldn't doubt that in any way. So let's keep running down a couple of new features because we'll carry on with our pfSense talk. Improve cert handling, CRL, dashboard. PPP uptime. I don't use that, but cool. Diagnostics added reroute and reboot to file system checks. Oh, okay. Neat. Diagnostics, DNS interfaces. Cool. Some IPsec changes. The old binary clog has been deprecated. Change system logging to use plain text logging and log rotation. That's actually kind of cool. I know a lot of people are not a fan of binary logging. I'm indifferent on it. I don't think it's that big of a deal. You just typed clog and then the log versus standard text files, but it was one extra thing there, so. Yes, I did. I did call it 255. I don't know why. You know what? It's because it was named 245 testing, but I think it's going to be 250. It was originally called that. So this label's right. This label was wrong. Also, I like this. I get the little BSD head. That makes me happy. I don't use Libre MNS. Zabbix has more features, so I use Zabbix. Anyways, what else? Is there anything interesting in the widgets? I don't think they added any new widgets. It's not a massive change. Like, there's a lot of back-end change, but as like visually, pfSense looks much the same. So that's on there. Business talk. So are you using HA storage in XCPNG? Not really. I'm just using FreeNAS storage, so it's not really HA. It's one single FreeNAS server. So it's not really HA there, Sam. I could buy one if I wanted to. I just don't care enough to, because the way we do our backups, they're all snapshots on servers that have local storage. So if the FreeNAS died, no big deal. I'll just pop over on one of the local storages. If the every time I stop shrinking the frame file, I pause. But yeah, I don't. The HA stuff is nice. You build yourself a good FreeNAS box, and it's as long as it's relatively stable. But mostly I use the local storage on the systems that we have because it's convenient. And then I have hourly snapshots to create backups that go to the other machines. So hopefully that makes sense. Was there anything in here? Oh, this was actually kind of neat. I didn't look at this feature, but I wanted to. I love packet capturing in pfSense. They added host address family, protocols. You can exclude certain things, port, packet length, count. This is really cool. So when you want to narrow something down, you can do a packet capture and then filter it a little better. So you get less noise in a smaller packet capture. So that is really cool. Yes, AES-NI requirements have been dropped. I did a video literally saying they were dropped, and people still can't get it through their head that they were dropped. I had someone who was ripping out all their pfSenses because they were convinced that my video was wrong, and ended up calling us because of all the problems they had, and went back to pfSense because we told them I didn't make it up in the video. It was a strange conversation.
I can look at your computer, but I can't say then how it was hacked.
So, anyways, let's go over. I'm just catching a weird conversation going on in the other end, going down the room. Last piece of rad before I jump off here. Let's talk a little bit about business, because I am. The business talk. So let's talk about that. So. Oh, you're right, though, Sebastian. It was such big news when they announced the requirement. But it was so crazy because the processors have been around for 7 years. So all these people are mad about it and made a big deal about it. But it's like 7-year-old processors. And I guess people really want to hang on to really old pieces of equipment and not have it ever go obsolete. So I thought that was really weird. And right here, it's I had to think about it. I was like, where's that at? The original plan was to include a RESTconf MPI virtual for which security reasons would have required hardware AES or COBA support. Plans since change does not contain the RESTconf MPI, and thus pfSense does not require AES-NI. So, yeah. Anyways, back over to here. This message I got, and I don't get it. So, Ingenious has actually recommended us a few times because I've talked to people that they like our videos. And I got this message, and I blurred all the names out. But this is the last little business thing I want to talk about. I don't understand people like this. And I don't respond to them either. I just don't get it. So, the part of the message that's clipped is they're starting a new business. Well, not a new business. They've been doing it. They want some advice on re-engineering everything. So, they typed a long message of all the things they wanted. A different type of firewall, help configuring it, blah, 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 blah. And they wanted Tom to do it. So someone responded to this person, Tom charges $250 per hour. Tom is far too important. I guess he doesn't want me to buy anything from you guys. I'll tell the people in Genius not to recommend him anymore. And I'm like, okay, they replied, we don't sell the hardware, which we don't most of the time. And this person already has the hardware and wants help like configuring a bunch of stuff, or in knowing what more products they want to buy. But we don't sell the hardware. We stay out of the hardware business because people start saying, I want the best price. Well, go find it. We do the consulting side. So I'm just like, the response from this person, what is your name? I'm going to add you to my list of a-holes. Perhaps you should take a Dale Carnegie course. And jokes on them, I did. I did that a long time ago. But I'm just like, I don't understand this about some people. And that's part of why I paused and listened to the conversation here, because it's not someone else. I heard them being mad. People don't understand that we want to charge for our time, and they have a really hard time that if they want to be able to buy a product from us and then have us support the product, the problem is that business model went out the door when the internet came along, because used to you buy a product and the product had margin on it, and that margin paid the wages of the salesperson to sell you the product. Well, Amazon cut out the middleman and made it super inexpensive. So now there's no margin. And people want all that sales and consulting. And it's gotten to the point now where we stay out of the hardware market altogether. That kind of eliminates us even doing it. We're like, go buy it from Amazon. We have an affiliate link. And if you don't like using our affiliate link, don't. It doesn't cost you anything, but whatever. Go buy the hardware direct. And in the case of PFSense is going to be an example. We don't sell the hardware. So it's that same problem again. We do consulting. We will integrate it and tie it into your project for a fee, but we don't sell the hardware. Therefore, you must pay us for our time. And this person, and this is not the first, this is just one of many people who don't get that we actually charge for our time to do consulting, to help people figure out and set all these things up. It's been like a puzzle for me to try to be as nice as possible, but I don't understand the anger people get when we quote our rates. By the way, to be as public as absolute possible with everything, when we go here, you go click on Hire Us. Before you even get to start contacting us with your anger, it literally says our rates right here. Standard consulting, $200 USD per hour, 30-minute increments, and Tom is $250 an hour if you want to talk directly to Tom. We are so upfront and simple. So before you ever had to do this, we don't want your email. We don't even want to hear from you if you don't know our rates. We want to make sure that's upfront. So if this is a non-starter, if this is the hang up you have, no problem. So it's one of those things. We are as upfront as absolute possible to do all of this. So yeah. It's amazing how many people that seem to be super angry about this, and that go through the contact form and go through messaging us on Facebook and places like that. And just like, how did you not see any of that? Did you read anything around here? It's just like, yeah, I need to put them in red or something like that. So it's just kind of crazy. I'm not, and I do laugh. I've had people say things like, well, I know someone who charges less. And I said, I know people who pay me more. I don't know, that's just a statement that doesn't have any meaning to me. We don't have any problems. We're booked. If you don't, we also point out we have forums. Matter of fact, I'm very kind to these people who say, I just want to talk for free. No problem. I donate a lot of my time to my own forums. I reply to tons of things in here, and this is what they're for. I may or may not go into as much depth. It depends on how much time I have to do it. But good news is I've managed to build quite a community here of people who will help you pick out gear and things like that. And sometimes they know more than me. So it's always good when they're asking about hardware I'm not familiar with. People will start chiming in going, oh yeah, you can get it here. Some people post this. I don't even mind people posting other videos in my in here, because if they're good and relevant. So yeah, and consulting's hard. It's hard to figure out how much to charge when you do consulting. And it's hard to find a good consultant. My YouTube videos are kind of like my, it's a matter of like my video is kind of validated, I guess. I'm booked up, so I that's how I can determine my rates, and my videos are what leads people to us, and that's how we get a lot of our contract work that we do. So, such is life. Oh yeah, I hate places that don't have pricing on gear. Man, that's a pain in the butt. That's just stupid. It's you know, that I've gone on about that, and I'm not going to rant about it today. But yeah, I want more places to be a little more upfront about it. It's life. I get some of them, though, that at least it's behind. It may not be public on their website, but it's easy to get to, like with a quick email. That's a lot of companies do it that way, and I'm fine with that. If there's reasons you may not want to have it on there because they're trying to just roughly keep, because it's not something they want to sell to end users. They want to sell it to someone who then sells it to end users, so they don't publish a price. And I kind of get that. So it kind of, there's an in between on that. Yeah, how dare you have a rate? SolarWinds has variable rates as part of the problem. They tier down as you scale up, so that's a big piece of that. But I think that's it for today. I could probably babble on forever, but I actually have some projects to do and I have a meeting in about a few minutes and a video to upload. So meeting video, I'm going to reply to these forum posts because I see there's 2 posts, not many. I'm pretty much, with the exception of when I go offline, I'm pretty much into forums daily. I do take time and go offline. Actually, related to that, I'm going to do a video on my new, it's been really nice here. This was December 24th, I think. Me out in the woods. Still loading the picture. I gotta admit, the new Pixel 4 camera is really nice. So this is what I do when I go offline. I just kind of hang out somewhere out in the woods. It's been beautiful here in Michigan. It is 60 degrees out, which is unseasonably warm here for Michigan. I kind of wish I had time today to I wasn't planning on it being that nice out, but the Pixel 4 stitching together of these panoramics on the phone is just really brilliant. I was like, this is great. This is what I do when I'm offline, though, is I just kind of wander around in the woods on my old motorcycles. So occasionally it's good to go offline once in a while. That's what I do. And I'm not mad at this person at all. And I blurred out their name. I'm not here to try to call anyone out. But I just figured I'd share. You guys may find it entertaining. I'm not trying to completely go nuts with them, but it's one of those. Yeah, I get it. This is also, I didn't reply anymore. Rules are, and this is my staff is trained on, I'm trained on, my mentally is, once you see people are ranting like crazy, you just ignore them. I don't know if it makes them angrier or whatever, but it's just really not worth engaging with someone who's not going to be rational about things. It's not worth your time for the most part. I just kind of skip it. But that was it. Thank you. Look for that Tesla video for those who are curious. What is my recommendation? This is a Pixel 4 unlocked because I have Google Fi. I'm going to do a video on this as well. I really like Google Fi. It's been great. And Google Fi has worked really well, which is one of the reasons I bought the Pixel 4. And I'm going to do a video on the Pixel 4 because it's the phone everyone loves to hate. And a lot of people didn't want to buy this phone for the reviews are really mixed on it. That being said, I have my reasons I did buy the Pixel 4. First, I didn't pay full price. Don't pay full price for the Pixel 4, please. Get it on sale. But it is an unlocked phone. You can switch between carriers, and with Google Fi, it just ships unlocked. All right, and thanks. Oh, click the like button. There's only 44, but 200 people. Smash like button. I didn't say that till now, so I'm saying it now. Happy. See you guys next year. Yeah. Hmm.